I think we knew we had a lovely film. I personally didn't realize that it was going to be such an enormous success, and I don't know if anybody else was absolutely certain that it was going to be the hit that it was. It became its own animal, so to speak. It became this. It was almost sort of a legend in its own time, and so many people have asked me and have asked Bob what it was about that film that made it so special, and it's hard to put one's finger on it, but this is so trite, but it somehow seems to me to be true that things like, real things like ducks and pigs and horses and nature and beautiful scenery and gorgeous songs, somehow I don't guess there's a soul that doesn't want to relate to something as normal and real and lively and vivacious as that. It's the sort of fantasy that we all have, that life could be almost perfect. That, coupled with glorious music, probably had a great deal to do with it.
How did you deal with, you having fleshed out this character that the world had just personalized to such a degree?
I don't think I dealt with it very well. I think I really said it all when it just knocked me sideways. I don't know, without getting into a great deal of personal stuff, it's probably not worth getting into it.
Can you tell me about when the next year, Oscar night, when Bob was off and doing Sand Pebbles, and you went with Sally Chaplin, and you accepted Bob's award for him?
Oh, that's right. The following year, at the Oscar ceremonies, obviously the film was nominated, Bob was nominated, I was nominated, and Bob was away making a film called The Sand Pebbles, and I was asked to pick up his award for him if he won. And I was very happy to do so. It was an extraordinary night. I think it was... wait a minute, what else was up that year? Because it won for...
Chicago and...
That's right. Was our big contender, right.
Racking in awards and...
Yeah.
Looked like a sweep, but then Sound of Music started.
Yeah, and it finally got Best Picture and Best Director, right? Okay. Dr. Zhivago was the big contender, along with The Sound of Music that year, and Darling was another film. And early in the evening, Dr. Zhivago started pulling in quite a number of Oscars, and I guess all of us weren't sure where we would stand, but by the end of the evening, Sound of Music had won Best Picture and Best Director for Robert Wise, and many, many other Oscars as well. It was quite a nice evening.
I'd also like to know, with you being involved in music as long as you have, having come back to Rodgers and Hammerstein so recently for The King and I, what can you say about their place in...
Nice question.
Music history?
Oh my gosh, I don't know where to start. Let me think. I did a concert earlier this year with a huge symphony orchestra, and chose to sing. I was requested to sing Edelweiss from The Sound of Music. Now, you wouldn't think at first that it would be an important song. It was not a song that I actually sang in the film, but I was asked to sing it, and a beautiful symphonic arrangement was made of it, and I sang it. And as I sang it, I became aware of what a truly beautiful song it is. It's one of those melodies that is so simple, it just lies there. And I started to reflect on other wonderful Richard Rodgers melodies and Hammerstein lyrics, like Oh, What a Beautiful Morning, or Hello, Young Lovers from The King and I, and Younger Than Springtime, let's say, from South Pacific. There are so many wondrous songs that Rodgers and Hammerstein wrote. They're magical to sing. They give so much pleasure. They have something very real to say. Edelweiss has the most wonderful lyric that applies to any country when it ends with "Bless my homeland forever." It could be about any place. It doesn't have to just be about Austria. The sad thing is that a lot of my younger children's friends haven't been educated and don't know who Rodgers and Hammerstein are. And it breaks my heart because that sort of music should never be lost, ever. Happily, thanks to The Sound of Music, which I hope will go on and on and on as a film, it won't be. And I had a great thrill and made the recording of The King and I about a year ago. I don't guess they'll ever be really forgotten. There's too many of us around to talk about them, but it's an amazing body of work that they left behind, and I'm thrilled to have been a part of it. That's not a very kind thing to say. I don't mean to say that their stuff's forgotten. I just mean that there's so little education that goes on these days. Musicals are dying. I don't know if it's worth mentioning that, but they're changing. Yeah.
Said this when we
said this when?
said this when we did the Star and
When I recorded The King and I recently, I was asked by a reporter, but why do The King and I? And I said, you wouldn't ask that question if this were La Bohème or Madame Butterfly. You wouldn't ask it about a Puccini opera. There are many, many interpretations. This is really, these wonderful Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals, and all the great Broadway musicals really, are the classics they're the popular classics of their day. And they stand, I think, as importantly as any opera or any great play. You can't say they shouldn't be done, they should.
for as much as the public has. Last question.
What's that?
For as much as the public took Sound of Music into their own hearts, as I said before, personalized it. I'm
Yeah.
sure there were some good relationships and benefits to come out of relationships that are still going on today. Could you talk about some of those?
I think you mean with Bob and Solly. Yeah.
Children, sure.
The friends that I made on The Sound of Music are my friends today. Bob Wise and Solly Chaplin and Mike Kaplan, our wonderful unit publicist who has done so much to keep the film alive all these years. And, of course, the children. I don't see them as often as I'd like to. I think of them a great deal, and occasionally I hear from them. We had a 10th anniversary, and we had a 25th anniversary. I hope we'll have a whole lot more. I just wish we had one every year, because it's a lot better than having to wait 10 or 15 years for an anniversary.
Good.
Good.
We're wrapped up.
Good. Perfect. I can't think of another thing.
You will see, most likely, I think, right, we'll see Charmian tonight.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it is.
What about Heather and...
Heather, close the door. Room tone. Here.
Room tone, third section.
Room tone.